Jess, can you take the notes? Order lunch, by the way. And remember, the birthday card. Also, the deck is broken. Can you fix that too?
Sure. Okay, wait, why am I doing all of this?
Hey, can I just interrupt here? Because after all, I did write the yes test method, and I think you just kind of failed by saying sure so quickly. You got to have a pause in there. You got to think about it. So before you say sure, think about it.
So being good at something does not automatically make it your job. Today, we are talking about how women become the office mom, why being needed can feel like confidence, and what those 1,000 tiny yeses may be building without our permission.
By the end, we will find out, how do you retire as the office mom without becoming the office villain?
Hi, I'm Claude.
And I'm Jess.
We are corporate employees by day, entrepreneurs by night, and work besties for life.
Join us as we explore how work besties lift each other up, laugh through the chaos, and thrive together in every industry.
Work besties!
Hi, Paula. Thank you so much for being in our podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. It is a pleasure to talk to the besties. It's like the bestie jean jacket look over here.
Yes, it is. We knew we would have a good
rapport when we saw we're all wearing jean jackets of various colors, too.
That's an immediate bestie.
Yes. So, Paula, we know you're an author, a speaker. As you just taught me live, you are the creator of the Yes Test. And after more than 15 years in tech recruiting and leadership, you've realized that pulling your career and life in a direction needs to be more intentionally chosen. So we'd love to hear from you on your journey and how you came into finding the Yes Test.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to take off this jeans jacket because
now that we've all been in it, we're hot.
I am sweating. So there it goes.
Let's talk business now.
Yes. Yeah. Roll up the sleeves, everyone.
Okay, so a pivotal moment for me, I'll tell you a story. What really changed everything for me was I'd gotten a promotion and I was going to this first board meeting, big board meeting. I was very excited about it. And I walked into the room, and you know how when you walk into the room, you kind of like assess everything, like who's there and where you're going to sit and kind of just the overall vibe of what's happening. And I walked into the room and I froze for a minute because my first thought was, where are all the women? I was the only woman in the whole room. And instead of, owning it and just having some swagger and, hey there, everybody, I shrunk myself and I just got so small, and I pretty much tiptoed over to the back of the room and sat down in this little chair, kind of like a mouse in a corner. And I barely said a peep or a squeak for the entire meeting. And I got out of that meeting an hour later, and all the men there just drinking coffee and talking to each other. And I got out of the meeting and I was so mad at myself. I was kicking myself. I was so mad at myself because I knew that I was invited there for a reason, right? I was an expert in the field. I had opinions. They invited me for my capabilities, and yet I shrunk. I didn't say anything. And I swore never again. I told myself, never again will I make myself small like this, because it was really my choice. Nobody told me to be quiet. They invited me there, and it was my choice to be quiet. And I decided the choices that we make, whether they're good ones or bad ones, whatever they are building the career, they're building the life that we end up having. And what I really realized when it like hit me upside the head, basically, was I was doing similar things at home. I was saying yes to things, whether I wanted to do it or not, because I felt guilty about it. I felt obligated about it, whatever it was. I was not taking ownership and making intentional choices overall. So that is what the pivotal moment that led me to start writing books and sharing this with women.
So, Paula, you talk a lot about the intentional, choosing things intentionally. So, we'll get to that in a second. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about when you are talking about the office mom. What does that mean? What is that role? And how does one become an office mom?
So I became an office mom out of default. I worked for a software company, and one day my boss, the company was kind of growing, and one day my boss said to me, Paula, you're a mom. Can you order snacks for everybody for the kitchen? In his mind, he's like, well, that's what moms do. That's, I guess.
Eek.
It was just an easy jump for him to assume that I could handle ordering granola bars. So without a hesitation, I said, sure, just like you did in this intro. Sure. It was an automatic sure. I didn't think about it at all. I was like, I'm a team player. I can do it all. I'll do everything. Whatever you ask, I'll be there. And so cut to like 6 months later, I'm still ordering the freaking office snacks. And I
Ugh,
fully
yeah.
had become the office mom without even intentionally wanting to. And 6 months later, I was so mad about it. I would go to Costco and get like those huge things of granola bars and be like, throw them in the cart. I was like not happy, or even ordering them online. I was like, oh, this is taking so much of my time, because it's a simple task, but it does take time. And I loved my job and I wanted to lean into my job more. But being the office mom was taking up time that I could put into the other things that I wanted to do that really mattered to me.
Fill your
And
cup
I,
versus taking out from
yeah,
your cup. Yeah.
right.
So how did you stop being the office mom? How did you do it? Because it must not be that easy, right? To
It's
go
not.
back and say, well, let's stop. That's not my job.
Yes. And it was affecting me in so many other ways. And it's funny how something you think, oh, that's just small, buying snacks for an office, but it's funny how those things kind of snowball and really do affect your self-esteem and
Course.
even your self-worth, and
Yeah.
how others see you as well. And so I kind of had to have a difficult talk with myself and be like, you're so resentful about buying these stupid granola bars or coffee cups and all that stuff. Um, so what was funny is, and this is not a spoiler for the Office villain because I'll get into that, but what's funny is we build it up in our heads.
Mhm.
So I had built up with, if I complain or if I say I don't want to do this anymore, the world is going to end. I'm going to get fired, or my boss is going to be mad at me, or I'd built up this whole scenario of the worst thing that could happen to me for not buying the granola bars. And when I finally spoke up, which is the name of my first book, Speak Up, when I finally spoke up, it was no big deal. Absolutely. It was no big deal.
There's probably
And
somebody
there
else
was,
who was like, I would love to do it.
that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. Yeah. Somebody else was like, I'll do that. I would love to do that. Like, it gets me out of my chair. I can go do something different, kind of open up some different doors for them. And they were happy to take that role on. And here I had built it up so much in my head, like I was the only one that could do it, or people are going to be mad at me if I didn't. Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
So, Polly, you commented on this before, and as a woman, and I know I've heard you even say this at time, women do say a lot, this should belong to me, or I should do this, and I can handle it. How and why do we keep confusing feeling like we're responsible for doing something when we really aren't?
Yes. That's such a good question and such a big picture, because when I left that meeting and was kicking myself, I actually started to, as I was diving into, I wanted to help women advocate for themselves more. I dove into why we don't, or why it's hard for us.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot about, as little girls, we are in general rewarded for being quiet, for being good, quote unquote,
Conformity. Yeah.
for not making other people uncomfortable. for being the helpful one, being the polite one. All those things when you're little are rewarded, and then you get into the real world, the work world, and it's turned upside down. You still carry those behaviors and you think you're going to get rewarded for that, but no, because unless you're visible, you don't get credit for things a lot of time. Nobody even knows, and we assume people know,
Right.
but they don't.
So it comes back to kind of the same, we take on some additional job because we feel like we are needed. So, why do high achieving, professional always have this, how do you make the difference between being needed and getting extra job that is not our job and actually being seeing each other visible?
hmm For me, what I did and what I talk about in my book, The Yes Test, is deciding what is important to you. And I have an exercise in there that is kind of all about figuring out what matters to you and where you want to go, whether it's in life or in your career. And that makes it so much easier to decide what you say yes to once you have a goal to go towards. And what the yes test basically does is measure your yeses against your goal. So, can I give you an example with the snack mom thing?
Yeah.
Please.
How I used it. So with the snack mom thing, I used the yes test on that. So I asked myself, is it yours? So was buying snacks my responsibility? Was it mine to carry? And the answer was no. So the yes test is an acronym. Was it yours? The answer was no. E, was it essential? Was it essential that I specifically bought the snacks for the office? Or was that somebody else's just want that somebody else could do? Was it essential that I actually did it? The answer again was no. And then the last one for S, was it sustainable? And the answer to that was hell no, because I was getting so angry. I mean, yes, granola bar, like I would see it, hell no, I would see a granola bar and just be like, oh, just want to throw it out the window. I was getting so
Have you
angry about it. I'm still not over
given
it.
like expired snacks?
I just didn't envision you like someone in a meeting's like, somebody go get the snacks, and you're like, the snacks, here, take it.
Throw it at him. Take the granola bar. No, but I boycotted granola bars. I boycotted pretty much all the snacks. I was like, I'm not eating this food. I don't care if it's free. I brought my own. So was it sustainable? And the answer again was an absolute hell no, because it was making me burnt out in so many ways, because I was feeling devalued. I was feeling,
Yeah.
all these things because of it. So when I ran buying snacks through the yes test, because what I knew for sure is that I liked my job, and it was taking away from all of those things. It was taking away from doing what I really wanted to do by saying yes to it. So I had to say no.
I love that. I think so. I'd love to ask you this question. So basically, what you're saying is, yes, you can build a confidence, or you can build yourself up into a workplace to show yourself by being useful. But there's a difference between that and perhaps building your confidence built on knowing what you want. So how does somebody make that shift in a authentic way without causing like too much of a rift, or should you make a rift?
Well, again, I think we build up what it is in our head. I think the rift is really in our head. I mean, normally what you build up as worst case scenario never happens. Like if you just think about yourself,
Yeah.
when you lie awake at night and you're worrying about, something that happened or what's going to happen, and you're thinking, worst case scenario, everyone's going to die, the world is going to explode. It's like the next day is just the next day, and none
Right.
of that happened.
Everybody
So,
hates me, and then
Yeah.
and then nobody cares because everyone's
Yeah.
thinking about themselves.
Right.
They get over it so
Totally.
fast, and you're still dwelling on it. So So that's my number one piece of advice, I guess, is just to try to remember that and embody that you are most likely building something up in your head that's not real. That's not real. But I know it's easier said than done. And so I really believe in baby steps too. So taking small steps to build up your courage, because the more that you experience the rewards of that kind of behavior, the more comfortable you're going to feel. So if that means, like, for example, for going back to the snack mom, maybe if I wanted to take more baby steps instead of being so drastic, I could have taken somebody with me, for example, another employee, and said, "Hey, do you want to come with me to get the snacks?" Just so I didn't feel like I was doing it by myself or it was my sole responsibility. Figuring out like more baby steps you can do, or saying,
One every
I don't,
other day, one every
yeah,
other week.
I
And
would
almost
say
like small
baby
boundaries
steps.
up front. So do you feel like
Yeah,
it's an option where, like, you commented how people who are challenged with this, yes, using the yes test is so helpful. Most likely if they're doing it at work, they're doing it at home. So would this small, like starting small, be like start reestablishing the yes test first at home and then build the
absolutely. Because
confidence? Or you think do
I,
both?
well, do you agree that a lot of times I think women say yes even more at home than
Yeah.
they
Oh,
do
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
at work?
Sometimes you don't even get a chance to say yes. It's just
Just you,
assumed.
yeah,
It's
exactly. Yep.
assumed.
Yeah, which made me also feel like my time didn't matter as much as everybody else's. And why
Totally.
why is that?
Mm-hmm.
So when I reflected on the work part, was kind of the gateway into really looking at my life and
Oh, so yours was
realizing
the
that I was
opposite. Work brought you to see, oh, this is actually happening personally.
y-
Okay.
it was. And I love to say that, women we're so good at so many things. I mean, I don't know how we do it, but we could do everything. Like I can pretty much do a little bit of everything. Plumbing, electrical,
You can do that.
interior, interior. I'm not like that good at it, but I'll have a go. Um, so we can do so many things, but it doesn't mean that we should. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Doesn't mean you should.
So I'm sure you did the yes test at home, right? So how did they react? And second, did you feel guilty at the beginning?
The yes test takes away a lot of the guilt, because once you have your focus, once you have your goal that this is what you want to work towards, it takes away the guilt, because that's what I realized is my time matters too. Like this is my life as well.
Yeah.
And I have things that are important for me to do as well. So that really helped to take away that guilt, because I didn't feel it as much, because I didn't feel so obligated to everybody. I started feeling obligated to live my best life. And that overtook a lot of things.
And so how the relationship with your family became, because they were so used to for you to do everything, right? Did he
Mhm.
actually help them to realize how much you were doing and appreciate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, our kids are capable of so much more than we sometimes give them
Give
credit
them
Yeah.
credit.
for or let them do.
Yeah.
And also, when we overextend our kids too, 3 sports and 2 instruments and, all this stuff, it's like, do you really want to do all this stuff? And sometimes it's a no for them, you know, and that alleviates a lot of the pressure for you. It's less places you have to drive. And the other thing that I really leaned into was carpooling. I didn't have to drive them every place. Um, and I leaned into having my partner help more. For some reason, I had taken over the majority of the responsibilities of the family, like I think a lot of women do. And I just kind of was like, I need more help. Let's negotiate this. Let's talk about how it can be more of a 50-50 than me kind of just automatically saying yes to everything. So that was a life changer. I highly recommend it.
You brought this up before. I think anytime you are putting forth like the yes, there is a cost behind it, right? And obviously, we talked about sometimes going through the yes, you can see how much it is. So there's a lot of obvious elements for taking up your time. You might not enjoy it. What are some of those other non-obvious costs that's impacting you? I'm kind of thinking about what we kicked off before we even started the podcast.
Yeah. Do you mean like what are the costs of the automatic yes?
Yeah, when
What
you
what's
do
it
the automatic
costing you?
yes.
Yeah. For me, and I think for a lot of women, the cost of having the automatic yes is losing yourself and losing what is important to you and realizing that you matter.
Yeah.
We put ourselves so far down the rung a lot of times and coming last in everything. And we matter. We do matter.
Mhm.
We do a lot. We take on a lot of roles, we take on a lot of responsibilities, but we matter, and what we want out of our lives matter just as much as it does for anybody else.
Yeah.
And you can't do everything. I look at it like this kind of, funnel, and every yes makes your funnel smaller, and it's kind of like this is time, right? So you have this much time in the day, this much time in the year, this much time in your life, and the more you say yes to other people's priorities, other people's emergencies, your time gets smaller and smaller for you to do what matters to you.
Mhm. Yeah, I was thinking that. So where I was going with this is clearly I fell into this trap when I got shingles because I was just saying yes to everything and just going through the motions and not even thinking about the implications of it. It's almost like my body revolted. It was like, no, 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 like you're still important. You're a part of this. You got to figure that out too. So I think, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It's a devaluing of yourself, but also your body like will reject it too.
Yeah, we can only, we're human. Sometimes we
Right.
don't act like it, but we can only do so much. And at the end of the day, taking care of your well being, taking care of your health, taking care of your mental health, all of that is important. And that's what I mean by you matter. It's like your health matters. All that stuff matters, not just what you want to get out of life, but so that you feel good and you feel respected and you feel valued. I think all of those things really matter, but sometimes we put it on the back burner.
So we're a work bestie community, so we have to ask the question, do you have a work bestie?
Do I have a work bestie? I do. I have a couple of work besties. Yeah, I love my work besties. They're so they give you so much stress release, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
They help a lot with this. They're a good litmus test for a lot of this.
Yeah, they are the good yes test.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it might not be work bestie, but my next question would be around, so what would you say to someone who you notice is feeling stuck or going through the motions? Um, what would be your coaching or guidance to them? Let's pretend it's
Yeah,
one of your work besties, so you already have that rapport.
yeah, definitely. I do. We do talk a lot about stuff like that. And when you're feeling stuck, or when you're feeling stuck, like you're doing something that is not fueling you, or I mean, of course at work there's not everything we're going to be
Yeah.
passionate about, right?
Yeah.
It's like not everything. Sometimes you just have to do the mundane stuff. But if it's overall burning you out, if it's overall making you feel resentful or devalued or whatever, really look at it. Really look at it and look at what is driving you crazy about it. What is it that's making you feel like you do? And talking to your work bestie about it, but then take steps to figure it out. Take steps, because at the end of the day, there's always people that constantly complain. There are those people that constantly complain, but if you ever really want to change something, you have to start taking some steps. So figuring out what steps you can take. And, you know, I have had jobs too where there's just so many things that it's just like, okay, this is not the job for me.
Mhm.
So take steps to get your next job. Always keep pivoting, always keep learning from everything. So if you're I learned so much from spending 6 months as the office mom. It gave me a lot of experience of figuring out what I didn't want, what I did want, how I wanted to set boundaries, all of those things that really steered a lot of things later in my life once I got through that. So every experience, you can learn from it. Just learn from it and pivot, though. Don't just keep doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't redo, relearn it.
So
Yeah.
I would have no problem doing the yes test, but where I would have a problem is stepping up for myself. Like saying, I'm sorry, this is not what I should be doing. Go and see, your manager or whatever, and saying, I know this, I'm doing this. It's not essential. How can you really push back? That's for me is the
Yeah.
difficult part.
So it's more
Yeah.
managers managing up.
Yeah,
Okay.
managing up.
Again, what I've learned is that a lot of times we think worst case scenarios, but a lot of times when you're given a job that you really don't like, right? And usually if you don't like a job, you're not going to be that great at it. It's going to be the thing you do last or the thing you drag your feet on or whatever. You're not going to be that great on it. But when you speak up and say, in whatever way your company culture works, so whether that's in an email when you do, your yearly or quarterly or whatever evaluations, and you bring that up, or whether it's just a casual conversation with your boss. Hey,
Yeah.
this is something that's like taking up so much time. Is there any way I can focus on this more? You're opening a door for somebody else, because what you don't like to do doesn't mean that everybody else doesn't like to do it. You might be opening up opportunity for somebody else by saying, hey, this just isn't my sweet spot. This just isn't what's working for me. And so somebody else can take that on maybe and grow from it. And it could be an opportunity for them. So again, we kind of assume the worst, but it doesn't always have to be the worst.
So in your example, then it'd probably be good to come up with an idea of how to adjust it.
I came with more of a solution. Like I came with the solution of, I really want to put more time into doing XYZ, which is what I really love doing. But the snack thing is taking like 5 hours out of every 2 weeks because it includes this. He had no idea. He had no idea that I was spending like 5 hours ordering stuff, getting it delivered, putting it out, He had no idea. And so once I explained that to him, I was like, I'm spending 5 hours, and I was not entry level. I was expensive. Those were expensive snacks after you counted
Yeah.
how many hours I was putting
Yeah,
into
right.
it.
That's a really good way of positioning it too. Is like,
Yeah. And I'd also talked to somebody else and said, would you be interested in doing this? Because they had talked about loving the snacks and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, hey, would you want to buy the snacks sometimes? And so I came to him with a solution more than a big problem. And I think that really helped. So if you can kind of think of it that way, maybe. By the way, I want to put it out there. I don't know. People may disagree with this. That this might be controversial, what I'm about to say. But unless your job title is like an admin assistant or receptionist or something like that, do not volunteer to buy snacks if you're a woman. Do not volunteer to take the notes. Just don't do it unless it's like in your job description,
mhm.
because it is such a slippery slope.
Yeah.
That's true.
It snowballs so easily, and people start to expect you to do it.
And like exactly what you said, it becomes what you're at home. This is what you become also at work, right?
Right. And
The-
it's really easy for us to say yes to that because it feels comfortable, right? It feels kind of comfortable. And I'll admit, even when I first started doing the snacks, it was comfortable for me because, yeah, I was a mom, you know? But just because it's comfortable, I mean, maybe that's even more of a reason not to do it.
We thought we'd play a little bit of a game with you. So something that we like to kind of challenge our work bestie communities to think about the application to them and how this can relate. So we'd love to like pitch some scenarios and we could walk through the yes test. Does that sound
fun.
okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one that I feel like I very much relate to. Your manager asks for a new deck by tomorrow morning, but you already have 2 other priorities due, and it's 5 p.m. What do I do?
If it's real, if it's not busy work, because I think we've
Yeah.
all experienced the
Yes.
boss who does something like that continuously
Mm-hmm.
because they are unorganized or because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And it's not the first time, it's the 20th time that that's happened
Right.
to you. So that I think you have to look at differently and run it through the yes test. Because at some point you have to set some boundaries. You can't continuously be somebody else's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So if it's somebody else, yeah, if it's your boss that has the problem. But otherwise, if it's an important meeting that you have, you wanna look good, you wanna get the work done, it's important for you, important for your career, I'd say do it.
Do it.
But you're still running it through the yes test.
So the team waits in silence for someone to volunteer for the notes, celebration or cleanup, and everyone looks at you.
Do not do it.
You don't even need to go through the yes. It's a no.
That is a hell no.
Do you look
not
at
do
someone
it.
else?
You excuse yourself and go use the restroom.
I
Leave
feel
the
sick. I'm
room.
going home for the day. Bye.
Yeah, leave the room. Leave the room and say, "I'll let you guys work this out. Let me know who decided to volunteer because it's not going to be me."
Okay, here's another
Yeah.
fun trick you're on. Okay. A visible opportunity that generally excites you, but kind of triggers imposter feelings is presented to you. If you accept it, it does mean something else will come off your plate.
Something else will come off of your plate.
Yeah. So it's a
Yeah, then that's
stretch. You're excited, but scared. But by doing it, something else comes off your plate.
Yeah. If you run that through the yes test, is it yours? Yeah, you want that. Is it essential? It sounds like it's going to be great for you. It's going to be good for you. It's essential. Is it sustainable? It could lead to great things. So I would say take that leap because life is not fun unless you live outside the box. Life is mundane if you just do the same old thing. So why not try something new? Go for it. Even when you're scared, you'll get over that.
That's fun. I think those are great. Those are great examples. I feel like everybody could relate to at least one of those.
Yes.
Right? Okay. How does an individual retire from being the office mom without becoming the office villain?
It's such an interesting question because let's talk about the office villain. You think about those words that have bad association with women in leadership, like the office bitch or she's bossy or she's aggressive, assertive, all those things. Does that mean she's the office villain? She's finally setting some boundaries. Is she now the villain? So I think that's interesting, and that's a perception that people have, even unintentionally. So I would say, I don't know, I'm tempted to say either embrace the office villain and be like, yep, I've set boundaries, not going to buy the snacks. If you don't like it, buy your own snacks.
Yeah.
Does that make you the office villain because you set those boundaries? I don't think so. I think it makes you feel, at least respect yourself, respect your decisions. And I think once you do that, it reflects on everybody else and they start respecting you more. So the office villain, there's ways of handling it, obviously. Like we talked about, you don't have to make a huge declaration like, hear ye, Paula will no longer be buying the snacks. Lazy people, go get your own food. And then kind of like march off like you're the queen that you are, right? Um, so yes. So there's ways of handling it and opening up for opportunities for other people too. I think remember that just because it's a no for you doesn't mean that it's a no for somebody else. Somebody else might really want to do that, really want to take advantage of. That could be an opportunity for them.
One person's no is another
Other
person's
person,
yes.
yes.
That's That's your tagline.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, please tell us a bit about your book.
And where people can find
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So the Yes Test Method is my second book. My first book is Speak Up, and that's really about learning how to advocate for yourself and build confidence. And the Yes Test is all about what we talked about today, setting boundaries, prioritizing yourself, and making more intentional choices. But the really cool thing about it is my daughter, who's in her 20s, she was a collaborator with me because I wanted a perspective not just from me as a seasoned professional, but from somebody in the thick of it in the beginning. And so there's some stories from her in the book. So I think it crosses a lot of generations and a lot of circumstances of women in the workplace and how we handle it, and not just in the workplace, but really in life, because I think the two are so connected. So
Yeah.
the Yes Test Method is, you can find it on my website, paulamathias.com, or it's also on Amazon. So the Yes Test Method.
Great. Thank you so much, Paula. It was so enlightening. And we know that we won't say yes right away when someone asks us to do something. We'll make sure that, we think if it's essential, if it's, sustainable. So thank you so much. And Work Bestie, please, if you have any comments, do so. Don't forget to subscribe.
And with that, work besties out there, keep
supporting each other. Thanks. Bye.
Remember, whether you're swapping snacks in the break room, rescuing each other from endless meetings, or just sending that perfectly timed meme, having a work bestie is like having your own personal hype squad.
So keep lifting each other up, laughing through the chaos, and of course, thriving. Until next time, stay positive, stay productive, and don't forget to keep supporting each other.